Well, congratulations, you guys. You made it to the weekend. It is the final couple of days here of May, and we're doing so a little bit on the dreary note. Some additional rain is on tap. We're going to brush up on the totals from today, as well as let you know when the rain officially exits the tri-state area here in just a second. Good news is June is starting nice and seasonable. We don't exactly hit those summer-like temperatures, though, until the middle of next week. So we do want to give you that first alert. There is a little bit of smoke on its way as well. I'll show you that. And of course, the sun to follow. If you have any questions about this forecast, feel free to drop them in the comments if you're tuning in on Facebook, and we'll get to them throughout the stream. So if you're tuning in from parts of eastern Southwest Ohio, eastern Southwestern, lots of words coming together. If you live in Adams County, how's that? You have a little bit of light rain trekking through. All of the lightning has been allowed to vanish, weaken, if you will. And we've got an array of temperatures right now at 7:16 this evening, mid-50s in Maysville. West Union, we got the 60s, not too far away, mid-60s in Milford, Florence, and Dry Ridge, and then the 70s in southeastern Indiana, where we've seen less rain falling today. So perhaps you guys, you got to soak in a little bit more seasonable temps compared to the rest of us. But the rest of us, don't worry, the seasonable temps are not too far away. We just got to get through the batch of light morning rain tomorrow. And I think saying this is morning rain is really generous. I think this is more of an overnight event and not really too much of an event itself. It's really not impressive. You'll see it here in a second. The afternoon, plenty of sun. It'll dry us up pretty quickly. If not by Sunday, definitely, or if not by Saturday, then definitely Sunday. Starting to dry up. Make those plans, keep those plans. This weekend looks outstanding. Now you will have ample opportunity to take care of the lawns and gardens after this soaking, showery day. Yeah, today just wasn't the day to be outside. Now Saturday, we're starting to come out of that, still fair. Sunday, Monday, got a pair of green lawnmowers for you guys. So the week ahead in weather. Yeah, here are your headlines. We are tracking the return of the sunshine. So say the jingle in your head, say the song in your head, and then eventually that heat actually presents itself in the temperatures. But unlike what we have been saying in the days prior to today, we actually have some storms that will end this streak of warm temperatures and end it rather quickly. At least the 80s. We will return to the 70s. You'll see it here in the next 7 days. So 70s this weekend, comfortable sunshine still on Monday, and then we have a wind shift, and that's all it takes there. By Tuesday, we're in the low 80s, Wednesday, mid 80s, and then we're watching for some late week showers and storms that will, of course, affect those temperatures a little bit. Not seeing any signs of anything huge, but of course, that's several days out. More than likely, we'll get some clarity on how that plays out in the next few days. So let's talk about that hazy sunshine that we're tracking for tomorrow. This is going to need a few seconds to load because there's just a lot of data in this graphic. So I'll take this opportunity to see if we have any questions right off the bat. And we have Susan tuning in. Good evening, Erin. Ready for a little dry weather. Hope you have a nice weekend. You too, Susan. This weekend is going to be fantastic for anything and everything outside. And that's our only comment that we have right now at 7:19 this evening. Here's where the wildfires are now. Of course, here in Ohio, we're not seeing those, but we'll still see the effects of them. Of course, we're no strangers to the wildfire smoke. If you remember the summer of 2023, I do by the back of my hand, she's back, just not to the same degree. So what you're seeing right now, the red, the yellow, the orange, those are patches of smoke. Plumes of smoke, if you will. That's where it is right now. Of course, the red is the more concentrated smoke. And here's what we're tracking heading into late tonight, into early tomorrow. And notice that the wildfire smoke, there are states, miles and miles and miles that this smoke has to travel between its fire and here. So while we are expecting a little bit of a haze, it's not going to be very dramatic to the air quality is the good news. You'll notice this if you see the clear skies on Saturday morning. The sunrise will have an interesting look to it, so send us your photos. And then by the late morning, most certainly starting to clear out by this time tomorrow, yeah, you'll notice a bit of a haze. Maybe because we're expecting a bit of mixing of this smoke down to the surface levels of the atmosphere. Yeah, we could smell it. Kind of interesting. Let me know if you do. The good news heading into your Saturday evening, we still have a nice northerly breeze, and that will work to kick out that smoke and get it out just in time for your Sunday. So while tomorrow does feature a lot of sunshine, it will have a little bit of a gloss over it. Nothing quite like the summer of 2023. It's just the first time we've seen it in a long time. 71 degrees, your forecast high for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and track that morning rain here real quick. Now the time is 7:21. Here it is. I say morning, but this model says it's going to arrive late this evening. Generally, it's just going to be an overnight event. We expect most of this to be out, away from the area by the time the sun rises tomorrow. In fact, we'll more than likely see very little clouds or what's left over of that rain by the time the sun decides to rise between 6 and 7 tomorrow morning. And then we look forward to a lot of sun tomorrow. Temperatures in the low 70s, so not necessarily really warm. It's just a step in the right direction. Sunday, copy paste, except because we don't have the morning clouds, we don't have the morning rain, Sunday morning is going to be a little bit on the chillier side. I wouldn't be surprised if we woke up to some spots in the 40s, others in the low 50s. So maybe a light jacket stepping out the door that morning, and then the afternoon is even warmer than Saturday in the mid 70s. Like I mentioned, Tuesday's that day in which we're starting to see a little bit of a shift from comfortable sunshine to perhaps something a little bit more sticky. Yeah, here are the dew points. That's the measure of moisture in the atmosphere. So notice by Tuesday at 7 o'clock in the evening, you've got about 60 to 70 degree dew points. And once you compare that to the temperatures, we see those getting closer and closer together. That just means it's going to be more and more humid. So by Tuesday, most certainly by Wednesday, you will notice the heavy air coming on in, because that's when we're forecasting the return of the 80-degree high temperatures. We have hit 80 degrees already this year. It's normal that we do. In fact, I'm a little surprised we haven't hit 90 degrees, because it's normal that we have at least one of those by this time this year. But contrary to what we've been tracking for, say, the last couple or few days, we're starting to see signs of some storms in the late week. And so that's why in the bigger picture here, you do see beyond Wednesday's 83 degrees, a drop in those temperatures. It's not a big drop quite yet, because there's still a good deal of uncertainty in that late week forecast. And of course, the timing of the storms greatly affects the temperatures. So keep checking back with us. We'll get a better idea of how these storms play out just as we get closer. But until then, sun, 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 sun. 5 days of mostly dry conditions to look forward to. So Mother Nature perhaps giving us a little bit of a, I'm sorry for making you deal with the cooler than average temperatures for about a week. Here's a nice sunny, dry stretch of weather for you guys to take advantage of. Maybe open up the pools if you haven't been able to do so this far, which is kind of crazy because I know people are usually jumping at the opportunity to. And then you can also enjoy the pool as well. 80 degrees, most certainly dropping or entering into that pool-worthy weather. Now the 7-day forecast starts to include those chilly mornings. Once again, not very long, not seeing that impact for too long at all. In fact, Sunday, Monday, upper 40s to lower 50s for those mornings, followed by very sunny and comfortable afternoons. And then Tuesdays, when the wind shifts, the dew points go up, the heat goes up, and here come the storms. But that's not going to happen Tuesday, that's going to happen later. So Tuesday, Wednesday, if you're a fan of the June temperatures, if you've been missing what we're supposed to feel like this time of year, those are going to be your days. The Reds are at home both of those days. Wednesday, we are watching for an opportunity of storms that afternoon and evening. It's a slim chance, but it's still there. And then Thursday, Friday, we're seeing ample opportunity for showers and storms as well. So once again, we're still several days out from the arrival time of those showers and storms. We have plenty of time to dry out from how rainy it's been and take care of everything that we need to do outside. Speaking of the rain, let's go ahead and talk about those rainfall reports, which at the top of 6 o'clock newscast, I did update these numbers. More than likely, these haven't changed a whole lot just because most of the showers and storms have shifted south and east of the tri-state area. But Alexandria, just under 2 inches of rain as of 6 p.m., so an hour and a half since then. Vanceburg, just under 1.5 inches. Notice that these are the top 5 across all of our viewing area, the top 5 heaviest rainfall totals for the day. Most of them are in northern Kentucky. And then, of course, the Lunken Airport, the sensor's just in a lower lying area, more than likely. That's why we're seeing heavy amounts of rain there as well. But southern Claremont County, southern Hamilton County, of course, you're basically in northern Kentucky at that point. So how does this year stack up so far? It's been a very soggy spring. We've all experienced it, but now we actually have the data to prove it. It is the 9th rainiest spring on record, and records began in 1871. So before the 20th century, me and Rob Williams were having a little bit of a fun time looking up what happened in 1871, which the Great Chicago Fire happened that year. The Gilded Age was during that period of time. I can't remember who was president, but long story short, it's been a long time since records began. Official records began of rainfall, daily rainfall, seasonal rainfall. And 2025, after an inch or so of rain reported at CVG, that brought our total for March, April, May, all put them together, the rainfall total to 17.57 inches. And normally we get 4 inches less than that. We reached the normal mark at the end of April, to put it in perspective. So all of May has just been in excess of rain adding on top of what's already been really, really soggy. So while we are expecting a little bit more rain in tomorrow's forecast, it's not going to do much to this total. That's why we brought out the graphic to let you guys know that, yeah, we've hit the 9th rainiest spring on record. This really kind of just put us over that edge, that threshold, if you will, to say, hey, it's in the top 10, folks. And it's not just your feelings. The data actually proves it. It's been a soggy one. Okay, we've got several comments and questions coming on in right now. Melvin saying, hi, Erin. It going to be raining all day tomorrow? You're the best. Thanks, Melvin. I appreciate it. No, tomorrow, most of the rain's going to exit the area by the time the sun rises. I hope you enjoy it. Jennifer saying and asking, is there a chance they could be severe end of the week? Absolutely, Jennifer. There's nothing that I'm seeing that's screaming severe at this point in time, but just with the amount of uncertainty, the amount of heat, the amount of humidity we are entering, that window of opportunity, there's always going to be a risk there, but nothing unusual for this time of year. And she also said she lives in Alexandria and it poured rain most of the morning. Yeah, I everywhere got a healthy amount of rain this morning. Most of the rain that I just showed you, those totals, fell before we hit the afternoon. Pretty impressive stuff coming in, most certainly. All right, no other questions coming in. It is almost 7:30. Hopefully this means that people are taking advantage of the relatively drier evening ahead. Keep in mind a little bit of rain for tomorrow. Not going to really create too much of a hazard out there. It's just something you want to keep in mind for any of those early morning plans, and then the rest of the weekend we're smooth sailing outside of some chilly mornings. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. I'm reporting live here in Queensgate. We'll have your latest forecast coming up on Fox 19 News this evening.